Thomas Edison, the man who lit the world. A graded reader, level A2. Chapter 1, A Very Curious Boy. Thomas Edison was born in 1847 in Ohio. His family and friends called him Null. As a child, he was very different from other children. He did not do well in school because he was always distracted. His teacher thought he was not smart. His mother, Nancy, was very angry with the teacher. She decided to teach Thomas at home. Nancy was a good teacher and she gave him many books. Thomas loved reading science books and doing experiments. He built a small laboratory in the basement of his house. He spent all his money on jars, chemicals, and wires. Sometimes, his experiments caused small fires or bad smells. His father was worried, but his mother always supported him. She knew that Thomas had a special mind. He was not just a boy, he was a young scientist. Chapter 2, The Young Entrepreneur. When Thomas was 12 years old, he started his first job. He worked on a train between the cities of Port Huron and Detroit. He sold newspapers, candy, and fruit to the passengers. But Thomas was not a typical worker. He asked the train company for a small space in the baggage car. He moved his laboratory there. He continued his experiments while the train was moving. He also started his own newspaper called the Weekly Herald. He printed the newspaper on the train and sold it to the passengers. He was very busy and worked long hours every day. One day, a chemical bottle fell and started a fire on the train. The conductor was very angry and hit Thomas on the side of his head. After that, Thomas began to lose his hearing. He became almost deaf, but he did not stop working. He said that being deaf helped him think because the world was quiet. Chapter 3, Learning the Telegraph. One day at a train station, Thomas saw a young boy on the tracks. A large train was coming fast. Thomas jumped and saved the boy just in time. The boy's father was very grateful. The father was a station master and he knew how to use the telegraph. The telegraph was a machine that sent messages using electricity. To say thank you, the man taught Thomas how to use it. Thomas learned very quickly. Soon, he became a professional telegraph operator. He traveled to many different cities for his work. He worked at night so he could study science during the day. He began to think of ways to improve the telegraph. He wanted to send more than one message at the same time. This was his first real experience with electricity. He realized that electricity was the future of technology. Chapter 4, The Invention Factory. In 1876, Thomas Edison moved to Menlo Park, New Jersey. He was now a successful inventor with some money. He did something very new and different. He built a large laboratory and a machine shop. He called it his Invention Factory. He hired many talented scientists and engineers to help him. This was the first research laboratory in the world. Edison told his team that they should produce a new invention every 10 days. They worked very hard, sometimes all night. People began to call him the Wizard of Menlo Park. In this laboratory, he invented the phonograph. This machine could record a person's voice and play it back. It was like magic to the people of that time. Edison was now famous all over the world. But he was already thinking about a much bigger project. Chapter 5, The Search for Light. At that time, electricity was not inside houses. Cities used gas lamps on the streets, but they were dark and smoky. Many inventors tried to make an electric light bulb. However, their bulbs burned out after only a few minutes. Edison wanted to make a bulb that could stay bright for many hours. He also wanted it to be cheap so everyone could buy it. He and his team began a long period of testing. They tried thousands of different materials for the filament inside the bulb. A filament is the thin wire that glows when electricity passes through it. They tried platinum, hair, and even pieces of plants. Nothing worked for a long time. Some people said that an electric light was impossible. But Edison never gave up. He famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. He was determined to find the right material. Chapter 6: The Great Breakthrough. In October 1879, Edison and his team tried something new. They used a piece of common cotton thread. They burned the thread until it turned into carbon. Then, they put this carbon filament inside a glass bulb. They removed all the air from the bulb so the thread would not burn up quickly. When they turned on the electricity, the bulb began to glow. It was a soft, beautiful light. Edison and his workers watched it carefully. They waited for 1 hour, then 2 hours. The bulb stayed bright for more than 13 hours. They knew they finally found the answer. The team was very happy and they celebrated their success. Edison improved the bulb even more in the following weeks. Soon, he had a bulb that could stay on for hundreds of hours. He was ready to show his invention to the whole world. Chapter 7: Lighting up New York City. Inventing the bulb was only the first part of the problem. People needed a way to get electricity into their homes and offices. Edison had to build a whole system of wires and generators. In 1882, he opened the first power station in New York City. It was located on Pearl Street. On the first day, he turned a switch and 85 buildings suddenly had light. People were amazed to see light without matches or fire. It was much cleaner than gas lamps and it did not smell. Soon, everyone in the city wanted electric lights. Edison's company began to put wires under the streets. He became a very busy businessman as well as an inventor. He spent a lot of time traveling and talking to city leaders. The age of electricity had officially started. Edison proved that his invention factory could change how a city works. Chapter 8: The War of the Currents. As electricity became popular, Edison faced a big problem. Another inventor named Nikola Tesla had different ideas about electricity. Edison used direct current or DC. Tesla and a businessman named George Westinghouse used alternating current or AC. DC was good for short distances, but AC could travel very far to different cities. Edison and Westinghouse had a big disagreement for many years. This period of history is called the War of the Currents. Edison was very proud and he did not want to change his system. He tried to tell people that AC was dangerous. However, AC was cheaper and more powerful for large countries. In the end, most of the world chose the AC system. Edison was disappointed, but he did not stop inventing. He learned that even great inventors are not always right. He moved on to other projects and continued his work at Menlo Park. Chapter 9: Beyond the Light Bulb. Edison was a man who never wanted to rest. After the light bulb, he worked on many other famous machines. He helped develop the motion picture camera, which made movies possible. He built a studio called the Black Maria to film short videos. He also worked on a better battery for electric cars. Edison believed that cars should use electricity instead of gasoline. He was a friend of Henry Ford, the famous car maker. They often went on camping trips together to talk about their ideas. Edison also tried to find a way to get iron out of rocks using magnets. This project was very expensive and it did not succeed. He lost a lot of money, but he was not sad about it. He simply went back to his laboratory to try something else. He had more than 1,000 patents for his inventions in the United States. Every day was a new opportunity for him to create something. Chapter 10: The Secret of His Success. Many people thought that Thomas Edison was a genius. They thought that new ideas just came to him like magic. But Edison did not agree with this. He had a very famous saying about his work. He said, "Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration." Perspiration is another word for sweat from hard work. He believed that success came from trying again and again. He often worked for 20 hours a day and slept very little. Sometimes he took short naps on his laboratory table. He was a very patient man and he never got tired of learning. Even when he was old, he continued to go to his office every morning. He inspired many young scientists to work hard and be curious. He showed the world that failure is just a step toward success. His life was a perfect example of determination and energy. The end.